Welcome back to the Nonprofit CEO Spark podcast. I'm your host, Marcia Beckner. We are on our 6th of 8 in the board series called Board CEO Partnerships. If you haven't listened from the beginning, please go back to that first episode at culturecares.com/41. That's our 41st episode. And you can start from the beginning and get all the information you need to build a board that cares. So this time we're talking about the S in CARES, which is safety or psychological safety to be specific. Imagine you're sitting in a board meeting and the agenda is full. Your organization is facing a significant challenge. Revenue is down. A program isn't getting the results you hoped for, or maybe you're trying to figure out how to better serve your community. And then an idea pops in your head. It's not fully formed, though. You're still thinking it through, but something tells you it might help. Your heart starts to beat a little faster as you slowly raise your hand. You begin by saying something like, "This might be a crazy idea," or "I haven't fully thought this through yet," but before you can even finish your sentence, someone interrupts. "We've already tried that. That won't work. We don't have time for that." Or maybe the response isn't even in words. It's an eye roll, a sigh. Someone looks down at their laptop, and another person changes the subject. We've all experienced some version of this. And now let me ask you something. When is the next time you're going to volunteer an idea? If you're like me, probably not anytime soon. Instead, you sit quietly and you contribute less. You wait until you're absolutely certain an idea is perfect before speaking. Or worse, you never share it at all. And here's what makes this problem so costly. The idea you kept to yourself may have been the one that could have changed the game. It might have helped you reach more families, raise more funding, solve a problem that everyone else has been struggling with for months, or discover an opportunity no one else could see. We'll never know because fear got there first. And this isn't just what happens to individuals, it's what happens to teams and groups. One moment of embarrassment becomes hesitation, hesitation becomes silence, and then silence becomes disengagement. And over time, that silence slowly erodes innovation, trust, collaboration, and yes, performance. Teams don't usually fall apart because people stop caring. They fall apart because people stop contributing. And that's why today's conversation matters so much. Over the past few episodes, we've talked about governance and accountability, appreciation, respect, role clarity, and connection. But underneath every one of those layers is something more fundamental: culture. Because governance is not a collection of policies, it's a relationship, it's a team, and every team develops a culture, whether it's by design or default. And the question isn't whether your board has a culture, it does. The question is whether you've designed one that helps people do their very best work. The number one reason I watched organizations struggle and teams undermine each other is because they lack psychological safety. And it's not something that most people think about to intentionally build. And that's why I'm so passionate about it and bringing it into the forefront, making it explicit that this is a requirement for you to have a high-performing team. So let me take it from like soft, ambiguous psychological safety into hard, cold data. Amy Edmondson, the Harvard professor who pioneered the study of psychological safety nearly 3 decades ago, found that the highest performing teams weren't the ones that made the fewest mistakes. They were the teams where people felt safe enough to speak up, ask for help, and learn from mistakes together. Google reached the same conclusion through their Project Aristotle, which was a research study over 2 years that studied 180 plus teams. After studying all of these teams over a 2-year period, they reached the conclusion that the best teams didn't just have the smartest people or the strongest technical skills. Instead, the single biggest predictor of team effectiveness was psychological safety. Think about that. Not intelligence, not technical skills, not credentials, but trust and safety. And that's true for boards and leadership teams. So today, I want to leave you with a quick win. Before your next board meeting, ask every board member to anonymously answer one simple question. What is one thing that would help our board become a stronger team? Collect the responses before the meeting and spend just 15 minutes discussing the common themes. Don't defend, don't explain, simply listen with curiosity. You may discover that your board doesn't need another strategic planning session. It may simply need more trust, clearer expectations, or better communication. Small conversations like this are often the beginning of significant cultural change. In our next episode of this series, I'm going to recap everything we talked about with this care model, and we're going to move it from the boardroom to the entire organization because your organization is only healthy as your team is. We'll explore how the CARES framework can transform not just governance, but your staff culture as well. I'll walk you through how to assess where your culture stands today, how to identify the greatest opportunities for growth, and the practical process we've used to help organizations strengthen commitment, appreciation, respect, engagement, and safety. Because when your board models a culture that cares, your leadership team follows, and then your staff follows that. And ultimately, your community experiences this difference. Remember to go to the show notes and get the companion guide to this series so you can take these concepts and ideas and put them into practice in very practical ways. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, lead with courage, clarity, and care. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Nonprofit CEO Spark. If you're ready to turn burnout into boundaries and build a healthy, happy culture where everyone, including you, can thrive, visit culturecares.com to learn how I support nonprofit organizations like yours. If this episode brought you value, share it with a fellow leader navigating stress and overwhelm. And remember, you are meant for great things, and you don't have to burn out to prove it. Until next time, keep leading with courage and confidence.